Now what I've done here, I've just thrown on 3 test pots of acrylics onto a basic oil base. And already the acrylic is starting to split up on top of the oil. And so, let's see what happens if I just run this over it now. It's a kaleidoscope of color. If I stand around too long, I'll stick to the floor.
Will you keep going until you got something that you're happy with?
That's what I do. When I'm at home and I paint, I stay with it until I've got something I like. And ironically, one night I did something like this. And I thought, absolute rubbish. Oh, to hell with it. I left it overnight. And when I came back in the morning, the whole thing had transformed into the most wonderful kaleidoscope of color and effect, which I could never have painted with a brush. And this would be such a thing here. If you see already, it's breaking up. If I leave it sit overnight, we have a fiery sunset, possibly if you want to see a landscape in it. If I again move it and start to make the paint run again, boy, I should nail these. I should have nailed this plastic on the floor. Thank God you put drop sheets on here. Doing this is fun, and you end up sometimes with some beautiful, colorful wall hangings or paintings. Painting, when you speak to an artist and say what's the sort of thing that you look for when you put something on a wall, you look for a reaction. If someone says, my God, I hate that, that's the most awful thing, you've got reaction, you've scored. If someone comes along and says, oh, I've got to love it, it's fantastic, want it, you've got reaction. But if someone comes along and goes, you failed. So if I'm angry, I might actually get a phenomenal thing resulting from my anger. And of course, like chopping wood, this gets a lot of anger out of you if you're feeling angry. I'm not an angry person. I'm more of a fun person. So when I do things like this, I'm looking just to try and create something which I haven't done before. I see here, the paint is moving superbly, but I still don't like what is actually there. So this is one which I'd probably start again from scratch when it was dry, or when it was partially dry, again run over it with a roller, and that gives a whole new different texture again, because the paint is starting to set. You get paint peeling, you get paint separating, and it creates a whole different picture. What we will see is the major change in this one is where we're getting a wonderful classic reaction of the acrylic and the oil in this area just here. Where it's all splitting up and starting to go off like, almost like tentacles of some bug under a microscope. You know, if you ever look at bugs under a microscope, they have all sorts of little tentacles and do weird things. And as I hold this like this now, already the paint's starting to move down the canvas. So if I really want to change this, I'd leave it overnight in a vertical position, and it will be a totally different thing. If I leave it flat, it will stay pretty well what's here, apart from minor changes of the paints drying and responding. And this is particularly shown here, and up there in that top edge. This is getting terrible. Yeah, don't do this at home, folks. Let's just try something here on the spontaneity of it all. Let's take my little roller and see what this does. And it's what had happened. I just said, what would happen if I did this? And when I saw the effects I was getting, I thought, God, this is amazing. And it's true that I'll probably do about 10 paintings messing about like this before I get one which I think is outstanding. I believe you, when I'm at home, I don't make as much mess as this. When all else fails, throw white. Pour a pool of white in the middle. A pool of blue. A pool of white. And a pool of blue. And kind of just let them sit there for a while. Or, once again, let them run around the canvas. And as we rotate it rapidly, we actually can end up with a very effective situation of a mass of colour in the middle of a boring background. Rather like that, you see. That can be then played around with or just left to sit. So already the effect in the centre of this I'm actually starting to like. I think the answer is have a go, you know, do what I've done. I've just taken some basic paints and thrown them on something to see what would happen. And I mean, although I've come from a background of doing representational art and painting beautiful pictures, anybody could do this really. It's not necessarily a skill, but what is important is knowing when to stop. The secret of all this is knowing when to stop. When you've got something you like, because, as you say, other people might not like it, and some people might be absolutely thrilled by it. You can imagine putting this into school. Kids would make one hell of a mess. What fun they would have doing it. And you see, we're bringing back that lovely blue sky again almost. There you go.
And you've become little great.
All for the sake of having a go. And we're starting to frame it, aren't we? Come across here. And suddenly we have something totally from rubbish to something which is quite pleasing. We've actually made a frame around it. All those reds and yellows and everything all mixed in there very, very delicately. Let's just keep turning it round. Keep the paint moving. Now it's really flowing on the right hand side here. Just want to let it go down a bit further. And I think that's far enough for balance. Probably the best part of New Zealand to do it. I find that this whole area, Golden Bay and the Nelson area, is well known for its arts, its artisans, its sculptors, its furniture makers, its carpenters, its jewellery makers. It's, I think, almost could be the art centre of New Zealand with the amount of talent. And to be part of it, love it.